All, welcome everybody, and thanks, Roopa, for accepting the invite. And also, I thank Felix, the director of Wings Foundation, for giving us this opportunity. And moreover, to speak more about Felix, he's my professor. So he's been a good friend, and yeah, he understands, and he also have uh, fought for our rights, and like he's done much. So thank you again, and thanks to everybody whoever joined. First of all, to start on with, we are here to speak about this LGBT, and I'm here open up any kind of question. You can just drop it in the chat box so that we can answer. So first and foremost thing, LGBT. So if at all you wanted to make a note of it, please do make a note. It is lesbians, gays, bisexual, and transgender. So this community, queer community means strange community, is what the other another kind of meaning for that. Is because though we have born a different, though we are born away and we act in a different way, so people call it strange, and that is the reason we call this community as the queer community. And here LGBT forms the majority of the community members are this, which is lesbians, gays, bisexuals, and transgenders. So LGBT is differentiated based on one is sexual identity and the second one is sexual orientation or preferences. Most of the time, people do really get confused with what is sexual identity and sexual orientation or preferences. Sexual identity is nothing but what you want it to be. So it can be different from the the sexual identity that you were assigned at birth. In simple words, a man when he is born as a baby, you could have a male genital, and we identify him as a male person. But if this person is from the community, if he wants to be a she, so that is the sexual identity what a person chooses. So it actually depends on the person what he or she wanted to be. Whereas sexual orientation is nothing but the sexual preferences. So here we have multiple kind of preferences. So I would love to give you a few examples. Asexual. Asexual also comes into the community where we call it as a person who loves himself or herself. Why do people get much into this asexual characteristics? Is because there's a lot of discrimination faced by the community, and we people people just use us physically, mentally, and for monetary benefits, and finally dump us down. And whatever the childhood traumas that we've gone through, end of the day, we just we just wanted our life. It's just in a simple way that we just have to have our own space. So these kind of people fall into this category called asexual because they are self-lovers and they just don't want it to come out. They just wanted to be whoever they are, and they are not very open about it also. So this is asexual. Bisexual is also a sexual orientation where bisexual people are sexually attracted towards the same gender and the opposite gender. And whereas demisexual is the person, you can please make a note of all these things because it's really hard to get all these details. So there's a kind, the sexual preference. There's something called as demisexual. So I'm sorry, there was a drop. All right. So here, demisexual. So here, the sexual preference is totally different. Where the person, first, unless and until there's a strong bond between between two people, this person is not ready for the sexual interaction or whatsoever. So these people fall under demisexual. And there are there's another term called pansexual. This is also a sexual preference or orientation in the community. Pansexual people are sexually attracted to all kind of people. Could it be anybody of the majority of the people who form the community, which is LGBT? L signifies lesbians, signifies gays, B the bisexuals, and T the transgenders. So some of the sexual identities and sexual orientation, I will be reading it out. The first one is lesbians. Who are lesbians? The lesbians are females by birth, and they are sexually attached or attracted to the same gender. When a woman loves a woman, is in any kind, so that is called lesbians. Gays, when a man falls in love with a man, they identify themselves as gay. Bisexual could be either a male or a female, and their preferences is could be on anything. Like they can love the same person, they love the other person. So bisexual is different. Transgenders. In transgender, you totally have two kind of transitioning. One is trans men and trans women, right? So trans men are the ones who change their identity, that is sexual identity, from male to female. This is trans women, and trans men are the ones who change their identity from female to male through a medical transcription. And then there's something called as intersexual. Intersexual are could be either male or female, and the external genitals will never match with their internal organs. Example, a man who identifies himself as a male person will have a uterus. So this kind of people are identified as intersexual who are also in the community. And as I told, asexual is just the sexual orientation. It could be either male or female. They just are the self lovers. They need their own space. And there are also something new which most of the people could know or could not. These are called as drag queens. Drag queens are nothing but they are male by birth, but identified as glamorous feminine structure and characteristics, and they're mainly into modeling and stuff. So these people are called as drag queens, and they never change their gender, never change their identity, but they always wanted a feminine identity when they go out, right? And then gender non-binary or gender fluid, these are kind of people who have a different kind of mindset which just fluctuates up and down. So these people fall under gender non-binary or gender fluid. Here what happens is suddenly they they wanted themselves to be called as women. Sometimes they wanted to call them as men. So it depends on their mindset. It's just fluid. It just they can be whatever they wanted. It is no limit. So these people are called as gender fluid, and mainly most of the cross dresses. Cross dresses are nothing but a person who dresses alike the opposite gender. So these people come under this gender non-binary and gender fluid. And in other terms, we also have people who come under yogapas. Yogapas are men who are into spiritual and dress up themselves as devis. They are males, but they enact as gods and goddesses. So these come under yogapas. The same as yogatis are trans women who wanted themselves who enact themselves as devis, which is gods. This is typically happening in south part of our country. And marladis are pujaris, and they also come under another community. And Kotis are nothing but Hijiras, trans people of the ancient time. We would have experienced this typical kind of trans people who walk around in the signals, and that local kind of people. So they come under the Kotis and Hijiras. And Hijiras by birth they are male, but they do not have their external genital doesn't have a proper growth. And the last there's she-male, and they are also called as lady boys. They are men by birth and wanted to be in a women, women, the feminine appearance or feminine structure. These mainly are for commercial use of flesh trade, right? So these are the kinds, these are a few of the gender identities and the gender orientation in the LGBTQIA community. And there's also there's a plus with the community. That means there's no end for this. It just goes on and on and on, on and on. So if anybody would have question on this first topic what is LGBT and this community, and who are, the majority people who form this. And if at all you have any questions, you're open to ask, and then we are here to answer you. Anybody? Any questions?
What do you
I
say?
Yes,
think
Would you
the
please
topic,
inform?
yes,
Sorry.
Ilya. Only one small question. So, what is
Yes,
the difference
please.
between trans man and trans woman and all other categories? I feel there is
All
major
other.
difference between these two.
Okay, one thing. So let us talk about transgender, and in this I would also love to add female or lady boys, right? So here the preference is that, from lesbian to all the details which I have given, it is just the sexual orientation or the sexual preferences which changes from people. But whereas transgenders, namely trans men and trans women, and also lady boy or females, these people go under a very tough medical transcription, and these are the ones who face a lot of discrimination in the society, and changing the documents, changing their identities, getting their acceptance. So these are all the challenges. So here, transgenders and the female or lady boy is like they change their, identity from one to another through a medical transcription, which is not so easy. So I think I know I've answered your question if I'm not wrong.
Hey,
Whereas
Ilya.
the other ones, whereas the other sexual orientation or identities or drag queens, cross dresses. So they are the person who they are, but their preferences, their choices, and the way they wanted to be called depends. But here it's completely a medical procedure which takes in place, and then how would then that is the way how it changes. Yes,
Yes,
so now you people are clear about the LGBTQ community, right? And what is gender identity and what is gender preferences, right?